The stuff about Dylan Gabriel didn't set a lot of people happy. I think a lot of us know that, he's probably not going to play this year if they can. But there was also, you kind of come to this thought, and this isn't going to be a very popular thing with a fan base out there, but I see 5 more games left. And I think it's very, 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 very easy for the Browns to say no. Because I brought this up yesterday, and it's just to me, it's a succession of hard truths that people don't want to hear. Where if you fire Stefanski, I do think that's the worst thing for Shedeur. Because I think that new people will come in here, and I don't think he has enough time. I don't think he has enough time to get to that place where people go, he starts the season next year for the Cleveland Browns. I hope I'm wrong about that. I just don't think it's good. I think this Sunday's his best chance. After that, I think it could get very squirrely very quickly. Cincinnati has a bad defense. I understand that. Your defense is much better than the offense for the Tennessee Titans. Our offensive line is absolutely putrid, and they have a rookie quarterback in their own right going. So Myles Garrett, he may set the record coming up on Sunday for crying out loud, so you might as well go on over there and see it. You have these things that just go against you to say that, yes, he's definitely the guy going into next season. Yes, he's definitely that guy. And I brought up about Stefanski, and I thought, man, I think it's so hard for them to say yes as an organization, and especially if they fire people, especially if they move on from Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. I think it's going to be very, very, very difficult for them to say, yes, he's our guy going into next year. The only thing that I think you can do is win games, which, okay, he's 1-1 as a starter. You can win games, all right, take yourself out of the running for one of the top guys going into next year, and he's got to play exceedingly well during that time. Because as a guy who's a later round draft pick, no matter what fans think of him, because I look and I go, guys, he's definitely not playing like a 5th round draft pick, but he's not playing like a 1st round draft pick. And because you're not playing like a 1st round draft pick, I think that there's going to be a lot of things where it's just going, we got to move on. We're going to move on to something more competitive here because this isn't a preschool. We got to get going. And I just don't think he's going to have enough time to prove himself that way. Again, guys, I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to not have to worry about this position any further than this year, but I think we're in this quagmire here, and I don't think it's going to end necessarily great.
This week is a big opportunity for him because after this week, gets back to normal.
Yes.
Gets normal, kind of healthier NFL defenses for, 3 weeks? Because you've got Tennessee this week, and then after that it's Chicago, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh, week 17. We'll see how healthy they are, but it's still Pittsburgh. I mean, we know what Pittsburgh does to Browns quarterbacks, no matter who is on that side. So, the last 2 weeks, John Greco called in yesterday. He said it, and some of the numbers kind of back it up that the offensive line the last few weeks has been as good as it's been all year. And I know some people will say, well, it hasn't been that good. Well, it hasn't been good all year. But the last 2 weeks, quarterback has had time to throw, and Shedeur has done a nice job of being able to kind of, drift out of the pocket when he needed to create some more time. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, him and the wide receivers, that hasn't been enough time to buy big-time completions outside of a few. Mm-hmm. But he's had some time to throw. It's not like he has been under duress. And I think the 49ers only blitzed once, and they really didn't get home, much at all until the game was, a multi-possession game in the second half when they were, at that point, teeing off. They knew, at that point what the Browns had to do, which was throw the football. But they really didn't get home all that much. The week before, the Raiders, they didn't get home at all. So this will be it. This will be the last opportunity to really feel comfortable, because I do not think he's going to be comfortable at all against the Bears. I think that game could be a train wreck, unless he just starts to it all starts to sink in.
Is 5 I want everybody to be honest with each other. Is 5 games enough? 5 more games. That means he'll have 7 altogether. But is 5 more games enough for it's a yes? Like, is there anything that they can really do?
He would have had. The only way it's
he will have to be superhuman over these next 5 games and overcome so much.
Yeah,
he has to overcome so. They're playing musical linemen. More on that coming up later on, because again, it just doesn't make sense. Something about it doesn't make sense. I'm going to try to make sense of it. They're playing musical linemen. Wide receivers aren't that good. They're definitely off on the different page. Jerry Jeudy has just started his complaining. There's so many. Their special teams put you in a terrible position. By the way, I mean, you're starting drives at your own 5-yard line, for crying out loud here. Like, there's so many things that are going against you that he has to overcome. And if you fire the coach and the general manager, I think they're just going to, we love to do different philosophies here. I think they're just going to wash their hands of everything.
Yeah, look, there have been a few guys in a league that have been able to overcome a lot of, what should be problematic situations. Obviously, Jaden Daniels was the one last year in his rookie year. You could see it right away. You could tell. CJ Stroud, that rookie year, you could just tell instantly, like, oh, okay. That to me, Shedor's looked like a later round pick. That's what he's looked like so far. I've seen him flash a little bit, which is why I think it's obvious he should be starting. Like, at no point, Kenny, am I sitting here going, well, they should go back to Dillon.
No, God, no.
And by the way, I'm not being fair to Dillon either, because no quarterback's identity should be carved out in 5 starts.
No,
in a rookie year on a bad team.
But if I'm going to somehow get an idea of what we're going to go into next year, who's going to give me a better chance? It's going to be the guy with the higher ceiling. It's going to be Shedeur. I mean, I think that if there's anything that's been cleared up through any of this, is that if you're going to take a flyer on a quarterback, Shedeur Sanders certainly should have been drafted higher than Dillon Gabriel. Is that a problematic thing to say? No.
To me, it feels like that. But I do think there is something, and I think we've seen it in 2 weeks, and I think the film studies have kind of showed it, that, and this is okay, this isn't the end of the world, but that Shedeur wasn't ready. I think now he's been able to get guys lined up. All that stuff seems now far-fetched, right? He's been able, outside of the Jerry Jeudy, whether he was set or not, that kind of stuff. And no, I don't expect Shedeur to have had to be the guy to call timeout either. He's not a veteran quarterback on that 4th and 1 when they didn't have the right personnel running guys onto the field and they were discombobulated. I didn't hold that against him either, nor did I hold him missing one Jeudy throw down the middle. That's fine. Quarterbacks are going to miss throws into the wind. I didn't kill him for that either. But I do think, like, now that the All-22 is out, and there almost seems to be a pretty big consensus that, yeah, he's just not seeing things. He's much like you would expect a 5th rounder to not see things.
So
he probably wasn't ready to play and have command here in his rookie year. Most rookies aren't. Yes. That's okay. It's okay to say it, Shedeur fans. It's okay to say your guy might not be ready. Patrick Mahomes says he wouldn't have been ready his rookie year. Patrick Mahomes is a 1st-round pick. Lamar Jackson admits that first year he was just kind of running around.
But that's what I'm pointing out, is that you're in a tough situation. Your offense is no good. Okay, you've changed play callers, which again, it's Tommy Rees calling the plays there. But I heard again more callers saying about Kevin Stefanski's offense. I go, I understand that they might have similar philosophies here, but Tommy's the one calling the plays, guys.
That's because it doesn't look any different, right?
Because a lot of it is just the components that you have just ain't gonna work out, and you can't stretch the field because your guys don't know really where to run whatsoever. And then you have a rookie that's throwing to him that, again, I can just keep going down the line of reasons why this would not be very successful. And that's part of the issue that I have, is that I don't think there's very much anything they can do realistically that would say he's the guy, other than A, absurd love for Shedeur Sanders, or B, an unhealthy fear of bringing in another quarterback for the Cleveland Browns going into next year. Like, that's the only things that I can think of that would detract you, and neither of those things are realistic. Being afraid of quarterbacks isn't a realistic thing to do, and being that over the moon about Shedeur Sanders isn't a realistic thing to do, because I have to think about what's going to be good for the football team. We're at the end of 2025. I can't just go sign up for 17 more if this is what we're seeing. I can't do it because I haven't been able to really stretch the field. There's been a couple of big plays, obviously, but any sort of actual threat to stretch the field isn't there. Any sort of actually running or moving the football isn't there. We complain about them not running, or them running the ball too much on 1st and 2nd down. The reason they run the ball too much on first and second down and why they don't really want to throw it is because they don't believe that he can throw behind the sticks. So they don't want to risk putting him in a sack and making it 3rd and 17.
And then that's it.
And then that's it. They don't want to have to do that because then, and as we saw on Sunday, I think that we've said this about so many other young quarterbacks for the Browns, he starts to try to throw a touchdown pass on every single pass. And that becomes a problem for everybody involved, including him. So I got 5 more games, and I need to know what he can do to hold on to the job to where we're just not talking about different people next year altogether. That the conversation about the quarterback is about a quarterback that's not even on this football team right now. The coach is not even on this team right now. The general manager isn't even with the organization right now. I need to know what they can do. Because, again, the better that Shedeur were to do in these 5 games, the better it's going to be for Kevin Stefanski. And so the only way I think that he is the starting quarterback next year is if you really have the same group of people, the same head coach and the same general manager. It's not what you want to hear, but it's the truth.
Well, then that's the Shedeur fans are probably thinking, then this thing's hopeless either way. Because if you're telling me he has to go find a new home, and 5th rounders do not have a lot of success in having any kind of priority going elsewhere if it doesn't work in the first year. And then, you're telling me I have to come back with the coach that I don't like in terms of his fan base. I don't know how Shedeur truly feels. He did back him up, in the press conference.
I don't know if he doesn't like him or not.
No, his fans have said he does not like him and vice versa.
Well, I can only go by what he says. I think if we spend a lot of time putting words in his mouth, I think that's a very dangerous thing to do, and I don't think I want to do that. Social media reactions brought to you by
Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
So this is one of the things that I'm getting here, and I want to agree with Real Xavier P. The only pushback I have on Shedeur Sanders not being ready is that he has to look like prime Tom Brady for people to give him a chance. People are judging him as a vet while other rookies are being judged like rookies. Think about how we judge Dylan. It's not the same. I totally agree with that within our circles. I think that there have been a lot of people who are Shedeur fans, and I think there's a lot of people who have gotten in that fight and they've become anti-Shedeur because of that. They've gotten in personal arguments with people, and so he has to look superhuman. And I can't just look at him and go, hey, he's a 5th-round pick, and my goal for it would be if, say, you win a couple of more games this year, say you beat Cincinnati, say you beat Pittsburgh, say you beat Tennessee. I mean, you win 3 more games all of a sudden. 3-9 ends up being 6-11. That's not too terribly bad. Of course, you end up with 6-11. I don't know. The guy you guys all want fired, I don't think he's getting fired, but we can cross that other bridge at another time. If you end up at 6-11, you could look at there and go, okay, let's go get ourselves a veteran. Or your veteran might end up being on that football team already. We know what Mary Kay told us 2 weeks ago. But either we go get a veteran or we let the other veteran play. Let's see where this goes. We had to get to the end of the year. You could possibly make the argument to start the season with him next year. It's just, to me, it's just not realistic. And if you're not going to be beating those teams, because I think that your own team is going to get in your way. You got in your own way against San Francisco. That in the NFL circles, they've wanted to wash hands of other good players that you've had. I think they would want to wash hands of everything that you have here.
The argument is that because Cam Ward, I am seeing takedowns every day at Cam Ward. But the difference is,
I am not. I'm seeing patience with Cam Ward.
I'm
seeing patience.
Well, he's a number 1 overall pick, so that does buy you, obviously more time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Where even if like a new regime came in, I mean, it's very rare. Josh Rosen, in 1 year,
Dr. Rosen,
they gave up on him, right? But was there a regime change there or whatever? Either way, they went back-to-back quarterbacks taken in the first round, but that is not a frequent thing. That doesn't typically happen. Johnny Football was out in 2 years.
I believe there was a regime change here. I think Steve Keim was let go in between, but I'm not necessarily totally sure.
So they also have the number 1 pick the next year.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, that's true. And now Tennessee is going to be faced with that again. But there has been it's hard for me to say there's been enough with Cam Ward, but I feel like I've seen enough splash plays that they're going to believe, we can't just give up on this in a year. Shedeur, he was never really supposed to play this year. Now, as you find out, he just wasn't. I don't know. The Browns have tried to make that abundantly clear, but because they're the Browns, everybody plays for the Browns no matter what. So you can have all your plans.
Yes.
And you just have to set them aside.
They'll throw them out the window
because they blow up all the time. And this why this is going to be a big game for him. But this was the downside for him, unfortunately, of falling to the fifth round. You don't get a lot of second chances as a fifth round pick, no matter how. And the fact is, and people are going to hate to hear this, his fame, I do think in this case, could hurt him getting another opportunity.
Not with radio, but I think with NFL circles, absolutely. I think with NFL circles, absolutely. They told you, and he's got to fight that. And I think that this is why Sunday might not be in his biggest damn game, because you're going right up against the number one overall pick, a guy that you were at one point were working out with, and people thought that you were either going to be picked right behind him or very, very close. Plenty of people made the argument that he should have been picked over him before that draft. I mean, I think everybody has the receipts on that. He could do a lot for himself on Sunday, and they could do a lot if they're able to do it. But I think it's going to be a very difficult task to do because his team gets in his own way. Your team, your offense, your special teams get in your way. And I think it makes it that much more difficult for him because if you want him to be successful, you are fighting fate in so many ways. And it makes it much more difficult and much more unrealistic. That's why I'm going, what does he have to do to get to the end of the line against Cincinnati? Win, lose, draw, whatever. Because I think for a lot of folks, and I've said I'm never going to root for him to lose. I'm never going to be happy that they lose. I can accept it and understand, like, hey, we lost a game and the quarterback played well. I think that that's a realistic goal for a lot of fans. Their realistic goal is that, yeah, maybe we don't win. That sucks. We'd like to win. But the quarterback played well. We've done that with other quarterbacks before. We can do it with this one. Certainly, hell, I'd be willing to do it with Dylan Gabriel, even if that were the case. If the young guy plays well and they lose, that's something that we can accept. I don't know if that's even going to happen because I don't know if they're going to put him in positions to be successful because, again, your special teams messed you up on Sunday. Your offense messes you up. Your wide receivers complain to your face about things. And we could sit there and say it's just football, but it's not. In so many ways, I have to have an incubation period for the guy, and I don't have that this year. So I have to figure out, because there was going to be you bring up Mahomes, there was going to be no regime change between Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes. It was still going to be Veach. I know John Dorsey was gone, but we know who Andy Reid is. There was going to still be Andy Reid. It was still going to be there. You're going to bring in other people. If it doesn't go well, you're going to bring in other people, and then you're going to buy in to their thoughts and their opinions, and a lot of guys are going to go. And that includes the quarterback room, because we know how the NFL thinks about that, and we have to change that thinking in 5 games, and I just don't know how he can do it.
Well, that's why the Tennessee
he has to do
game,
something that I haven't seen in the first 2.5 games.
Yeah, well, he's done a little bit, right? The flash plays,
little bit.
There've been like 3.
There's been flash plays. And nobody says he can't throw the ball.
Yeah,
he's got accuracy. He's got a good enough arm. No one's out there saying he's playing with 2 arms missing.
No.
He's got those things. But is that going to be enough for this organization, a new head coach or a new general manager, to invest in?
Well, and this is where it gets interesting. This week, actually, I know a lot of people around the NFL are just going to kind of skip past this game, as unfortunately
every week.
Has been the case with the Browns this year, even with Shedeur. But Shedeur does have
that bothers me in another level.
Does have more people making their games on the radar, but. Just look at it pound for pound. Obviously, we know who has the better defense. So Browns' defense has a chance to set up Shedeur in a big way this week. Browns have a better running back than anything that the Titans have. Believe it or not, the Browns actually, this is the game that they have the better pass catchers because you've got the tight ends.
Yeah.
And you have a disappointing Alabama wide receiver. They've got a disappointing Alabama wide receiver, but yours is better. Calvin Ridley, I think, has had 2 catches the last 5 weeks. So... you actually have the better supporting cast this week. So it's kind of a no excuses game for Shedeur Sanders. He's got the better offensive line. I don't think anybody could debate that. As poorly as we think our offensive line has played, it's better than what Tennessee has. You've got a more stable coaching situation, believe it or not, than what they have. So this is kind of a no excuses game against
Mike
Campbell.
McCoy? Is it Mike McCoy who's there in it? It feels like he's been there interim like 18 times or something. Larry in Cleveland. Hello, Larry.
Hello.
Hi, go ahead.
How you guys doing?
I'm doing okay. Go
ahead.
Yeah,
man. So I think Shedeur should get more time. I mean, it ain't like he was getting reps with the first team. And, I mean, what is he expected to look like? I mean, he's a rookie. So my question is, okay, well, if we don't want Shedeur, who do we want? I mean, we talking about Mendoza and Moore, but, I mean, what have they done? And what did they do the year before Shedeur came out that made them so special? We weren't talking about them the year before, so why they so special now? I just think we need to cut the brakes and take some time and let the guy develop. I mean,
do you believe that there's a head coach or a general manager out there that, as of right now, as of December 3rd,
Mendoza could win the Heisman.
We
act like he's having a bad year.
I'm not trying to argue Larry personally here. Larry, you and I got to separate it. There's a difference in what the fans argue about and what the NFL is believing here. I don't think there's a general manager or a future general manager or a head coach as of right now. I hope that he turns into something superhuman and we can go get other positions. I don't think there's anybody in the NFL who's going to take over right now who believes that he is better than Fernando Mendoza or Dante Moore or Ty Simpson, for that matter.
I mean, that's cool. I mean, everybody got their own perception or whatever the case may be. I'm just saying, everybody ranting and raving about these guys in college, and they're not in the NFL either. So when they come here and they don't look good for the Browns like everybody else does, and then we having the same conversation again next year, come on, guys.
Absolutely.
That don't even make sense.
Absolutely. Until it gets fixed, we will continue to have these conversations. And it ain't fair, but it ain't going to be fair to Shedeur. It certainly wasn't fair to Dylan Gabriel. It wasn't fair to Baker. It wasn't fair to Brady Quinn. It wasn't fair to any of these guys on that jersey. But that's the situation you're living in. And so you got 5 more games to convince them, you're going to have to win, to convince them that, you can go ahead and start next year with him. I would love for that to happen. I'd love to take 2 other guys. I'd love for this position to be fixed. But I think you're seeing a team that has been obsessed with that position since forever, and they're going to do what's necessary to go get it and probably going to do necessary things to go make sure that they get the young guy out of the draft.